So I wanted to begin this course by talking about this strange book, The Perception of the Environment. I started teaching this book 17 years ago. My daughter was turning 1 year old. Now she's turning 18 in February. I just started at Hartwick and I was coming off fall semester, cultural anthropology. You may have heard of that class. I got the worst teaching evaluations I've ever had in my life. It was very scary to go into spring semester. So the first time I taught this book, it was in a class that we called a CIS. Yeah, you seem puzzled. Everybody was. Nobody knew what that stood for, but you had to take it to graduate, a CIS. Anybody ever heard of these things? This is long ago. Can you guess what it would be? Something you had to take during your junior or senior year called a CIS. No, it's almost impossible to guess. Just like now, people had to take courses they didn't know what they were for. It was called a Contemporary Issues Seminar, a CIS. And so the idea was you were supposed to come in from different majors and look at a contemporary issue. So there I was trying to teach this environmental anthropology course, but I was trying to teach it to a bunch of different majors. And I was trying to figure out how to get a book to assign. And so I found this book and I knew my advisor, Professor Jillian Feely-Harnick, really liked Tim Ingold, and it seemed to have something to do with the environment perception and have essays that we could read, so it looked good. But then as soon as I started reading it, I thought, uh-oh, this is going to be trouble. And it was hard. It's a very difficult and strange book. But there were enough people that liked it, so I pressed ahead and I assigned it again. It was fascinating to me, and so I assigned it again for an honors CIS. And some people liked it there too, but others really didn't like it. There's one student, and on the teaching evaluations, I still remember, they wrote in, and we used to have to write them down. Remember we used to write in the blanks? And in every blank, when it said, what could I have done to improve my learning in this class? This person wrote, burn Ingold. And then what could the professor have done? Burn Ingold. He wrote it like 5 different times. So, you know, when you get strong reactions like that, you have to press on. After that, the CIS went away because we got a new curriculum. And, but the class, the course, the book kind of stuck with me. And back then I was very involved in faculty debates, and I helped to write what we called the ILS. That's what you may be in. You know what the ILS stands for? Yes, the integrated learning seminar. And the reason I called it that is because what I was realizing is that it was supposed to be a seminar which could integrate and interrogate earlier work, especially an intro to anthropology. And so this course comes back as a kind of upper level seminar because it's in dialogue with what we did in learning an intro to anthropology and those kinds of courses. And so I think that you may be the very last students in that curriculum. That curriculum is also going away. And this may very well be the last time that I am able to think through this book with you. So thank you for taking this course. This book has shaped how I teach intro, shaped how I think about life. But even though I've used it a lot in the cultural ecology class, it really does belong in the history of anthropological thought because it draws together some of what we'll later soon learn in this very first chapter the giants, some of the giants of anthropology. But in a way, it is also critiquing some of these folks, and it provides, I think, a way forward or a way out of this. I've sometimes thought about it as a conclusion to anthropology, the end of anthropology, or the beginning of a different way to think and live in the world. Now, that's not to say that this book is perfect. It has a lot of blind spots, and we will be trying to keep those in mind. So as you can see, for me, the physical book itself has become a well-worn companion of mine. There is a reprint edition, which some of you may have seen. It may still be out there. It's the same thing, but it was published in 2010, but all the words got bigger, at least on the cover. Got to be an all caps kind of thing, the perception of the environment. It started yelling at us. So, and it was a funny reprint because there was only one thing that was new. It was a preface, but that preface wasn't even included in a lot of the reprints, at least that I saw students have. And so there's another edition that has just come out in the last month or so. And I toned down the all caps stuff. So this is another reprint edition, and we may read the preface to this one. That's the new thing, because he wrote it during the uncertainties of the pandemic, and in some ways I think the preface to this, and in some ways I think he's conceding that this book comes to us very much from the strange world of the 1990s, when a lot of things seemed possible in the 1990s. They were before the storm clouds of the last 20 years were apparent or acknowledged. So I have this, I think this is the original. I've never seen it in hardcover. I have this, but you can get any of the versions of it. I actually got this version on a Kindle book, and I'm having Alexa read it to me, which is an interesting add-on, and I've never really done that. And so I put it in the UK accent for Alexa, just to give it that little, because Ingold is somewhere over there. But I think Ingold would probably be horrified at having his book read by Alexa in the UK accent. And he'd also perhaps be horrified by how much PowerPoint and projection that I've developed over the years, especially for this course. He would consider that to be antithetical to learning, which is always supposed to be by hand and ideally handwritten, and that by projection we lose all this stuff.